Okay, now, so let's discuss the chapter 5 or the last part of your research, which is your chapter 5, the summary of findings, conclusions, and the recommendations. But before we proceed to this chapter, balikan muna natin si chapter 4. So in your chapter 4, doon na kayo, 'di ba, nakapag-collecta na kayo ng data. And then after nun, sa chapter 4 is ininterpret nyo na or nagkaroon na kayo ng analyzation doon sa mga data na nakalap ninyo. So you already also interpret the data, kung ano yung pagkakaunawa ninyo sa mga data, sa mga sagot ng inyong mga respondents. So that is in your chapter 4. So, bakit ko siya sinasabi? Kasi, yung chapter 4 is quite related to your chapter 5. Kasi, from your interpretation, is magkakaroon na kayo ngayon ng summary of findings, conclusions, and the recommendations, which is based on your chapter 4, which or the interpretation. Okay? So, sa inyong chapter 5, meron lamang kayong 3 parts na gagawin dito. And that is your summary of findings, conclusions, and the recommendations. So in the first part, we have here the summary of findings. Again, summary of findings na nagkamali lang ako ng type. So that is the summary of findings. Okay. So in the first part of your summary of findings is we have the introductory part. So the introductory part, guys, is just a sentence or a paragraph na nagkakaroon lang kayo ng, kumbaga, ina-explain nyo lang dito kung ano yung mababasa namin in your summary of findings. So, hindi nyo naman siya i-elaborate masyado. So, keep it short, okay? Maikli lamang yon na explanations kung ano yung nasa summary of findings ninyo. So, that is your introductory part. Okay, nasa first part yan, nasa pinaka itaas, okay? So, the next is the present the summary of findings. Paano nyo ipe-present yung summary of findings nyo? So, ang gagawin nyo dyan is pumunta kayo sa inyong chapter 1 and look for your SOP. Dahil yung SOP na yon ay gagawan nyo ng sagot or kumbaga sasagutin nyo yung mga tanong na nakalista dun sa inyong SOP. And that is your way to summarize the findings, okay? 'Di ba? From your SOP, sasagutan nyo siya based dun sa mga nakalat nyong information or data from your respondents. Nakukuha po ba? So, I hope na nakukuha yon. So, that is your summary and findings. Okay? So, again, ang summary and of findings nyo is naka-based yan sa inyong SOP. Sasagutan nyo lamang siya. But, again, generally, hindi nyo na siya sasagutan isa-isa na, halimbawa, from your question number 1, lahat ng mga nasagot, lahat ng mga sumagot doon sa number 1 na yon, isusulat nyo pa rito. No. Ang gagawin nyo lamang is magkakaroon kayo ng general explanation or general answer doon sa specific na questions na yon na nandun sa inyong statement of the problem. So, kung halimbawa meron kayong 4 or 5 statement of the problem, sasagutin nyo yon isa-isa but based yon dun sa inyong findings or dun sa mga data na nakalap nyo from your respondents. Okay? But generally nyo nasasagutin yon. Okay? That is your summary and findings. And sa summary and findings nyo, tatandaan na nakasulat ito dapat in past tense. Okay? Kailangan nakasulat siya in past tense form. Dahil you already done in collecting your data and you na-interpret nyo na siya. So, kaya siya nakapasok or kaya siya dapat nakasulat in in past tense form. Okay? So, that is your summary and findings. The next part of your chapter 5 is your conclusion. So, sa ano ba yung ginagawa natin sa conclusion? You are concluding something, kumbaga ito yun na yung pinaka-end ng inyong research. Okay? Ang conclusion is your realization from your data or from dun sa inyong study. Okay, that is your conclusion. Magkakaroon na kayo ngayon ng realization dun sa inyong study. So ano ba yung conclusion? So conclusions is based on your summary of findings. Again, naka-based din ito sa inyong summary of findings. Hindi kayo pwedeng maggawa ng conclusions nyo na hindi po kasama sa inyong summary of findings. Dahil ang conclusions is nanggagaling po yan sa inyong summary of findings or dun sa inyong mga nakalat na data. So, ang conclusions is nakasulat yan sa present tense, okay? Kung kanina dun sa may summary of findings nyo, sa first part is nakasulat siya in past tense form. Ito naman is nakasulat in a present tense form, okay? The conclusions is the general findings, not specific findings. So, general findings, okay? So, tatandaan ninyo na paano ba to? I-explain nyo na siya generally. Okay? Hindi siya yung specific na i-state nyo pa lahat-lahat. Okay? Kasi tapos na kayo tapos na nyo nang gawin yan dun sa inyong chapter 4, which is the interpretation. So, dito naman sa conclusion, ano lang yung mga findings or yung mga nakalap nyong information na i-explain nyo siya generally. Okay? It is based on your SOP or dun sa summary of findings nyo. Kasi diba sa summary of findings nyo, sinagutan nyo dun yung SOP ninyo. So, that is conclusion. Okay? And the last one would be the recommendations. So, ano ba yung recommendations? So, simply means recommending your research findings to a person or a group of people. You are just basically going to recommend your research, okay, your research study to the other people. Kasi maaaring maging helpful yung research ninyo sa ibang tao. Ganun yung recommendations. You are recommending your research findings. Okay? So, ano yung makikita natin sa inyong recommendations? Again, in the first part, magkakaroon ulit kayo ng introductory part. Okay? Singit ko pala, nakalimutan ko kanina. Dito din pala sa inyong conclusion, same lang din yung magkakaroon din kayo ng konting introductory part. So, yun lang. Okay? And then, ganun din dito sa recommendations. Meron lang konting introductory part kung ano yung mababasa namin in your recommendations. Okay? So, maiksi lamang yon. The next is the recommendation should only be based on your findings. So, again, dapat ang inyong recommendations is based din yan sa inyong findings or yun dun sa nasagot ninyong sa nakalap nyong result. Hindi kayo pwedeng gumawa ng recommendations na hindi naman kasama sa study nyo or hindi related dun sa inyong nakalat na mga information. So, kung halimbawa, ang inyong topic is about sa new normal educations, so, ang maaaring pwede nyong i-recommend yan sa mga students, sa teachers, ganyan. So, i-recommend nyo siya, okay, by using what we call modals. Okay? Kapag nagke-create kayo or nagsusulat kayo ng inyong recommendations, tatandaan ninyo that you use these modals. The should, must, and may. Okay? Halimbawa, the teacher should, okay? Ganon, blah, blah, blah. Okay? The teacher may be able to, ganon. So, i-recommend nyo siya. Tatandaan, i-recommenda sa Tagalog. I-recommenda nyo yung research nyo sa ibang tao na sa tingin nyo is magiging helpful ang inyong research sa kanila. Or also, dun sa mga future researchers. Okay? Na katulad nyo, di ba? So, ganyan yung gagawin nyo sa recommendations nyo. Okay? Again, meron tayong tatlong part, which is the summary and of findings. Okay? Summary of findings, the conclusions, and the recommendations. So, yan lamang yung part ng inyong chapter 5. Okay? So, wala na kayong ibang gagawin dyan. Okay? Ito na rin yung pinaka-last part ng inyong chapter 5. Okay? So, ayan, magkaroon lang ulit tayo ng konting recap sa inyong chapter 5. So, inyong chapter 5, sabi ko nga kanina, meron tayong tatlong part. That is the summary of findings, conclusions, and the recommendations. So, in your summary of findings, tatandaan na kailangan magkaroon ng introductory part ang inyong summary of findings. And then, para mai-present ninyo ang inyong summary of findings is magkakaroon kayo ng pagsagot dun sa inyong SOP or dun sa statement of the problem. And yun yung way nyo kung paano nyo ipepresent ang inyong summary of findings. Then in conclusion, okay, dapat it is based on your summary of findings. Hindi po pwede kayong gumawa ng conclusions na hindi po related or hindi akma doon sa inyong summary of findings. And dapat ito ay nakasulat in a present tense form. Okay? Then in recommendations, it simply means recommending, okay? Na-explain na natin kanina, i-recommend nyo lamang ito dun sa mga tao na sa tingin ninyo is magiging helpful yung research topic nyo or research study nyo doon sa mga tao na yan. And dapat is hindi siya, kumbaga, naka-base din dapat ito dun sa inyong findings. Hindi rin po kayo pwedeng gumawa ng inyong research recommendations kung hindi ito naka-base dun sa inyong findings. So, ganun yan. Yung tatlong part na yan, kailangan is naka-base po sa inyong research findings or in your research result. Okay? So, hanggang dyan na lang yung ating explanations or discussion about sa chapter 5. And ito na yung pinakahuling part or huling discussion ng ating research study. Okay? So, hanggang dyan na lang. Thank you. Ayan.